We all buy food and we've all got to eat. And because of that, we need to figure out how to store our food properly. We've done a couple of other food storage videos and they've done well, and you guys have a lot of questions, and for good reason. Food spoils and money gets wasted. So this week I'm going through 10 more food storage tips for you. So stay tuned. Just a quick reminder, if you haven't done so already, to subscribe to the Clean My Space channel and to give this video a thumbs up if you love food storage tips. You know when people say if you were stranded on a desert island, what's that one food that you would want to have? There's a good 90% chance that my food would be avocados. We love avocados in this house. But they are a little bit finicky to store because what happens, they're kind of like bananas. You put them on the counter, then they have like a 30-second period where they're amazing, and then they're spoiled. So here's how to master storing your avocados. Get them out on the counter when they're unripe and just leave them there for a couple of days until they become darker and a little bit more squishy, but not too squishy. Now, the way that you know your avocado is ripe, A, of course, is by the touch. This one's pretty great. And B, this little stem over here will easily flick off if it is ready for you to eat, if it's ripe. Now, if you want to eat it right away or even the next day or two, great, leave it on the counter. But if you want to prolong it for about a week, you can put it in the fridge and it'll retain the level of ripeness that you've gotten it to when you left it out on the counter. Blueberries are expensive, so it's important to know how to take care of them properly so you can actually eat them instead of throw them in the garbage, which is a tragedy. Most berry packages will come with that little plastic-y kind of square at the bottom. This one doesn't, so there's an easy way to combat that. All you need to do is take a piece of paper towel and line the bottom of a container with it. Now, you want to do this because the paper towel will help absorb moisture, which helps prevent mold from growing on your berries, which is unattractive and sad and really a big waste of money. So if you can do that, you're in good shape. Put it in the fridge, and then right before you want to eat your berries, that's when you wash them. If you wash them any earlier, I know it's convenient, but unfortunately the moisture will start to promote that mold growth faster. Your berries won't last as long. We love nuts here at the CMS HQ, but storing nuts can be a bit of a challenge because when you buy a big bag of them, if you just leave them out willy-nilly, they're gonna go rancid. Now, what is rancid? It's when the oil kind of turns and you kind of get that like gross smell that makes your whole face explode. Basically, that's when you know your nuts are rancid, and they also taste terrible too. The biggest contributors to that are light and heat. So with your nuts, you want to get them into a good airtight container and keep them somewhere in a cool, dark place. Now, the best place you can actually keep them is in the fridge or the freezer, and you can store them in something like a mason jar or, again, another airtight container. And as long as they're refrigerated or kept frozen, they'll keep for longer. This here is a $4 bundle of basil that we picked up at the grocery store, but 3 days ago, and it is pathetic. You're pathetic. And the reason that happened is because we didn't store the basil properly. So keeping it in the fridge wrapped up in a package, gonna ruin your basil. There's your proof. The right way to store it is to keep it kind of like a plant. You wanna have your basil sitting in some sort of a container. This is glass, works very well. You want to put about 1/4 inch of water in there, and basically you want to treat it like a plant or a cut flower, and that will help it survive for a little bit longer. You can probably keep it for about a week if it'll last in your house that long. Now, it is best if you can actually get a basil plant in your house. You just position it somewhere where there's good sunlight, give it some water, and you'll have beautiful fresh basil all year round. Putting a cold piece of butter on a piece of toast is a total bread and butter buzzkill. You need to have nice, soft, room temperature butter that's easy to spread. But the thing is, how do you get that? Because do you have to leave the butter out on your counter, or do you keep it in the fridge and then microwave it? It's very high maintenance. So I'd like to know first and foremost, what do you do? Do you keep your butter out, or do you keep it in the fridge? Let me know in the comments down below. This is what's worked for Chad and I. We cut a small piece of butter off and we leave it in a butter dish. That way it'll come to room temperature, we can spread it and use it at our leisure. The rest of the butter stays in the fridge so that it's cold and preserved. Now keep in mind, salted butter has salt in it. Not the best thing for your heart, but pretty good for preserving butter when it's sitting out on your counter. Unsalted butter will tend to go rancid a little bit faster. This not only makes butter enjoyable to consume, but helps the stick of butter last for as long as humanly possible. I know it feels like the right thing to do is to keep tangerines and oranges in the fridge, But guys, you keep them on the counter. That's all you need to know. Plus, it makes it super convenient for you to grab a snack, and it encourages healthy eating. Ginger is not something that should just be tossed in the crisper when you're not using it. I mean, it does kind of rarely get used, so you really want to prolong the life of your piece of ginger for as long as possible. The easiest way to do this is first and foremost to pat it down. So if you've cut it and there's a little wet part, you can just pat it down with a paper towel, or if it's a little bit moist, you can just give it the old pat down. And then you want to put it into a zippered bag and kind of suck out the air, zip it up, and keep it in the fridge. Now, if you want to, if you use ginger grated, as I often do, a chef told me, actually his name is Michael Smith, he's a pretty well-known guy here in Canada, and he told me he keeps that very same ginger situation in the zippered bag in the freezer, and that way when he takes it out, it's very easy to grate on a grater. So give that one a try. Peanut butter has to be one of the most delightful foods in the world, and at our house we have natural peanut butter and unnatural peanut butter. I'm sure you know who eats which one. Either way, both Chad and I keep our peanut butter in the cupboard. However, I know there's a lot of contention about whether you keep it in the cupboard or you keep it in the fridge. So we did some research, and here's what we've learned. You want to keep peanut butter in a dark, cool place. Whether that's the fridge, it's not really necessary, to be honest, especially for something that contains a lot of salt and preservatives. I'm not naming names here. But if you use natural peanut butter like I do, you can keep it in the cupboard, but some people say put it in the fridge because of the oil, it can go rancid. But you know what, guys, I'm still here, my heart's still beating, I'm alive, I haven't died from rancid peanut butter, and my peanut butter always tastes great when I eat it. The most important thing is just to give it a good stir before you actually eat it, so you don't have all that oil separation going on. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys keep your peanut butter in the fridge or if you keep it in the cupboard. Clearly, you don't need to know where to keep your milk, but in order to keep it lasting longer, you can actually store it in the most optimal location in your fridge. Now, the least optimal location is the fridge door. That's the warmest part of the fridge. And milk, in order to stay fresh for long, needs to be kept as cold as possible. So what you want to do is either keep it right up at the top, that's apparently the coldest place of the fridge, but then you meet the other half of the population that thinks the shelf right above the crisper is the coldest part of the fridge. Now, either way you slice it, as long as you keep it there and not the door, your milk should last a little bit longer. And for you Canadians or any people who get your milk in bags, we have this neat little storage container that stacks your milk bags on top of one another, makes it easy for you to pull a bag out, and you can even keep the little tab that tells you the expiration date of the milk right there on the container. Now let's say you buy a lot of milk at one time, maybe it's on sale, and I mean, who doesn't love a good sale? And you're not going to get through it all at once. You can actually keep milk in the freezer. It'll keep for several months and it won't lose its nutritional value or its flavor. I love wine. I can't hide it. And we keep several bottles in the house just in case the feeling arises where, you know, a glass is necessary. A glass or two is necessary. Now, we have been storing our wine all wrong because we've been keeping it in this cabinet which has lots of unnatural light exposure as well as natural light exposure. And when you're storing wine, you want to keep it out of light and you want to keep it out of heat. So ideally, you want to keep it in a cool, dark location. If you have a cellar or a cupboard, that really is the best place to keep it. Now, I'm not saying a wine cellar, I'm saying like, you know, a cold room or something like that. That's perfectly fine. But hey, if you have a wine cellar, I'm jealous. Now, if you're going to open a bottle of wine, you want to make sure that you're consuming that within a couple of days, 3-4 days max. After that, your wine starts to turn. So when you're storing it, make sure you keep the cork on. You can kind of lean it to its side, but don't plan to have that wine stick around for much longer than a few days. And that wraps up 10 more food storage tips. I gotta tell you, it's around lunchtime. All this food talk is making me feel really hungry, so I'm gonna wrap up the video. But one quick question for you, what are your food storage challenges? Let me know in the comments down below. We love making these kinds of videos, so if we get enough questions, we'll put another one together. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you wanna see what I'm up to during the week, aside from picking which bottle of wine I'm gonna open up, you can find me on Instagram and Snapchat. I am at Melissa Maker. The guy who always helps me finish a bottle, we usually split it evenly, he is at the Chad Reynolds, and we are at Clean My Space. There's a button down there that lets me know you care, so click it if you liked this video, and click this button right here to subscribe and begin your journey to a cleaner life. Thanks so much for watching. and we'll see you next time. Well, it's that special time of the week where I get to throw you to a couple of other videos I think you're going to love. And since we're talking about food storage tips, why not check out our other 2 videos we've done on the same topic? You will learn so much. You are gonna ace your fridge and your groceries so well, and you have me to thank. And you're welcome. Be sure to visit our website. It's cleanmyspace.com. We've got lots of great cleaning information on there, and you'll also have the opportunity to sign up for our monthly newsletter, which is free. It's called The Dirty Dish. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you next week.